And this, ladies and gentlemen, is part of the reason that I've spent so much time over the years on this channel, not just in the last few months, but over the years, always saying that I never really know who to fully trust, not just in the world or in this space in the sense of famous people, but I'm talking about even other YouTubers and content creators. Because when I start to see a trend of people doing things only because it's trendy now or because it's safe to do it, it just makes me wonder, who have you been propped up by? Who's giving you the green light to talk about certain things that were clearly obvious a long time ago? And in today's video, we're going to talk about the Donald Trump Butler psychological operation that, in my opinion, was extremely obvious the moment that it happened. It didn't matter if you supported Trump or not. If you looked at that situation objectively, and you were at the time familiar with psychological operations and how they take place, then I don't know how you don't look at that and you, at the very least, question or investigate it, as such. But now all of a sudden, in just the past week, I've seen somewhere around maybe 10 content creators and political pundits and commentators, both with semi-large platforms, some of them with very, very large platforms, all seemingly out of the blue questioning if the Donald Trump pow-powing attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania was even real, if it was staged, if it was faked. Why now? Why now? Everybody is allowed to catch on to things a little bit later. Everybody's allowed to believe something at one point and then later believe a different thing at a later point in time. I agree with that. But what you're not allowed to do, at least without pushback, is to present yourself as if you are somebody that calls out these things, keep the people informed, keep people on their toes. But then when these major psychological operations take place, you go along with it. I feel like that's failing the people. All right. And I'm not going to name some of these YouTubers or some of these content creators that's done this in the past few days. Very odd how they even positioned the videos, because I've done my research and I went back to see if some of you all have even been talking about it or what your take was on it when it first came out. And many of you all were a lot of the people that pushed this nonsense that Donald Trump was a victim, when the actions after the fact should have told you Donald Trump was not a victim. Allegedly. And in today's live, man, we're going to react to two videos in particular. One coming from the Young Turks. So that's right. You got the quote unquote left and the quote unquote right, both coming together all in the same few days. All in the same few days. You got trending videos from people from the quote unquote right, left, and independents, all seeming to question if what truly happened that day, if they need to reassess it. If we need to reassess, we don't need to do nothing. You need to hop on the gravy train, because now it's cool to talk about Trump, or it's cool to question certain things about Trump. Even if you were criticizing him before on the left, it was certain things you even felt like was too far at the time. But because now Donald Trump is back in the White House and he's posting these pictures that people believe was Jesus Christ, him positioning himself to be Jesus Christ, and he's posting these other things and the Iran war and all these things where he's upset his base. Now all of a sudden it's time for you to entertain, is Trump who we thought he was? Really? You look at the history of this country, no matter who is in the White House, we get the same results. We're going to end up with high gas prices, and then at one point the gas prices are going to drop. That's just how it goes, no matter who's the president. Our grocery prices are going to skyrocket, including eggs, which is also a psyop as well. It's talking points that is given to the media to keep us in a trance, right? No matter who's in the White House, we're going to get the same results. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, George Bush, Bill Clinton, it doesn't matter. I don't care if Mitt Romney was elected. This is just so frustrating to me. And I was like, I'm going live. I wanted to go live a couple of days ago when I saw one person in particular. And I was like, bro, you just now entertaining this possibility? Really, bro? Anyways, man, Hit the like button on your way in, y'all. Let's get to this. And this is extremely frustrating. Extremely frustrating because some of these people are faking like they never entertained this possible, or they never thought about this. Like they never suspected this. Yes, you did. You weren't in that big of a trance to believe that the deep state was that much after Trump, after he shut down the investigation. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me share my screen, and we're going to get into the first one. Like I said, the first one is going to be the Young Turks, because the way they covered it was so interesting that I was like, they're going to be the first ones we sort of entertain. And here it says, Trump's pow-powing attempt story has big problems. This is just 2 days ago, hit 2 million views. So this is, they struck the jackpot with this one, y'all. 2 milli. Thumbnail says something is not adding up. You don't say. Now all of a sudden the left is sounding like the rest of us. You don't say. So let's take a listen and see what their perspective is on this.
My heart's fine.
I'm only 40. Ignoring your heart health risk.
On his own show earlier.
Look in the mirror and
oh
I'm
boy,
like,
double ads? Really?
Get your
Thomas Crooks came within a quarter inch of destroying this country. And yet, a year and a half later, we still know almost nothing about him or why he did it. That's because, for some reason, the FBI, even the current FBI, doesn't want us to know.
Maybe the assassination was like not something that we don't know the full story. So maybe it was staged. Maybe it was faked. Maybe it was some kind of message to him, although I don't understand that.
Okay, let me just pause it there real fast and say, and this was another story that they've been trying to push for the longest. Even in a more recent episode, Candace was saying that supposedly Charlie Kirk was present for a meeting between Donald Trump and Miriam Adelson, I believe is her name. The person who supposedly gave Trump $250 million, which I still struggle to believe that these people, even if money is really what these people are greedy for at this point, because a lot of these folks can make a bunch of money with the circles that they run in, but whatever. Let's just entertain that. $250 million. Charlie Kirk was allegedly present for a meeting between Trump and Miriam Adelson, where Trump allegedly agreed to take the money from Miriam, but then he told Charlie Kirk allegedly that he was going to take her money and he was going to essentially F her over. Word allegedly got back to Miriam, from what I understand, if I remember this correctly. And then within weeks after this meeting, the Butler situation happened. As if to say this is some sort of correlation or causation. Because Trump decided to turn on her. This was supposed to be, I guess, a warning. I'm not saying Candace outright said this, but that was the sort of, that's the what I conveyed from the message, right? My interpretation was that this was a warning from Trump, towards Trump, from that one foreign nation that, hey, if you take our money and not do the things that you're supposed to do, that's not a good sign for you, which would also help explain the pow-powing attempt after Butler, Pennsylvania, both in which we really don't know a whole lot about. I'm not buying it, though. And part of the reason I'm not buying it, we don't have to go, which we can, but the behavior of Trump, his Secret Service, and even the police force that was on the property that day, all said to be something else was going on there. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's continue.
Now, it's been months since Tucker Carlson did a deep dive into President Donald Trump's would-be assassin, Thomas Crooks, and the FBI's lack of interest in, investigating it, including the motive. Now, more conservatives are beginning to question what exactly happened in Butler, Pennsylvania during the 2024 presidential election. Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the more vocal individuals who's starting to ask questions. Well, We'll get to her in a second, but first, Jake, your 2 cents.
First of all, there is no such thing as conspiracy theories. That's my new conclusion.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so what that is a term used.
Bro, you have to love this. You have to love this. So it's and this is something when I was running in circles with people that were quote unquote on the left, progressive Democrats. That's something I realized. I was like, even things that were pretty common sense, or when things happened that clearly gave you indication to believe or look in certain directions, people on the left, even though I don't believe in the left versus the right, let's just entertain this for a second. People that identified to be on the left, I was like, I noticed a lot of them didn't even entertain certain possibilities because they will be seen as conspiracy theories. And I was like, I have to get away from you people. You people I want nothing to do with. Because you're willing to miss out on the truth simply because people may think you're crazy for believing it. Simply because it's not popular right now to believe it. Simply because other people aren't openly saying the same things right now. So therefore, you're not willing to entertain the possibility, even though you have good reason to do so. Shank, however you pronounce his name, Uyghur. Now all of a sudden in 2026, and now you say that conspiracy theories or the term conspiracy theories is something we shouldn't use anymore. We us regular folks, how come it's only these people with large platforms that seem to catch on late? All of us regular folks at home, how come we're ahead of the curve when it comes to a lot of you all? Duh, we know that the term was created by the CIA. We already know that. We already know that there's a term used to discourage people from looking in a certain direction. We already know that. Think for yourself is what we've always been told since we were a kid. Think for yourself. Be your own person. If it turns out that what you're currently suspicious of or believe or skeptical about, if it turns out to be true or not true, you pivot accordingly. Y'all have been able to reject common sense simply because like a man can't be a woman. Y'all have been rejecting that for the last 4 years simply because the trend was to say otherwise. I want you people to stay away from me. Now you say this in 2026 at 40, 45 years old, however old you are. Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
By the media to make sure you don't challenge the government and their official story. Because the media is not in the business of news, they're in the business of propaganda for the powerful. So you just drop the conspiracy nonsense. It's a theory, okay? And is this particular theory an interesting one? Absolutely. And I'm a person who thought it was perfectly real, and I thought it was heroic what Trump did. I'm now definitely rethinking that based on.
I'm not even laughing simply because he at one point in time entertained the possibility that it was real. I'm laughing because he's pretending. You have to at this point almost be pretending that information that we have in 2026 is somehow information or reasons that have been proposed that weren't proposed back in 2024, right? Any reason that you have right now, Shank, to believe otherwise, you had it 2 years, almost, you had it a year and a half ago, bro. Why didn't you believe it? Why didn't you believe it then?
Some of the evidence we're going to show you.
Well, okay, first let me just say there is no like smoking gun, so don't like wait for that. I don't have a theory. Okay, my take on this is very strange.
Duh.
Okay, and I don't trust our government because our government has already lied about the suspect behind it, right? So Thomas Crooks was shot and killed at the scene, so there isn't going to be a trial or anything.
Was he? This is what I'm saying, and this is part of the media's job, bro. We don't know that. We do not know if that dude was actually taken out. Maybe he was, and maybe he was truly a patsy, but we don't know that. Right? Having these agents go out, these MK Ultra agents go out and play their role just so they can be the quote unquote, a patsy can also just mean a fake patsy, right? Which in other words means the role that you're going to play is you're going to show up. You're going to be the person that allegedly is the radical person that's trying to take out the target, but we take you out instead. Right? We don't know if Thomas Crooks was taken out because they've refused, first and foremost, to give us a lot of information on the guy. It took Tucker Carlson his own investigation to reveal that the guy actually did have a freaking history on the internet, but the FBI told us otherwise. Come on, bro. Like the stuff like that. I don't believe these people.
But there was a big lie that was uncovered by Tucker Carlson in the special that he did on this incident, on this case. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But first, while we still have trouble getting Trump to shut up about the 2020 election, which he lost to Joe Biden, it is very strange that we never hear Trump ever mention Butler, Pennsylvania, ever. Or by the way, the second would-be assassin who was arrested near Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
How come he never talks about any of this stuff?
Right.
How come he doesn't demand investigation? He wants investigations as a freaking James Comey, but he doesn't want to know more about motives behind his would-be assassins?
No, look, guys. So it's really hard for us from the outside to determine what actually happened. But is it perfectly legitimate to ask questions? Of course, that's if you're in media, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to.
Why did you preface it with that? This is what I'm saying. This is the same guy who believes that men can be women, who shows up for a debate, flies across the country to show up for a debate, to argue why men should be able to compete against women in sports. That's who this person is. And the reason why I mentioned that is to say that frame of thought, that way of thinking leads to you doing and having to say stuff like this. Prefacing your statement with the obvious. Guys, there's nothing wrong with us asking questions, but I just want to remind people there's really no way for us to 100% know what. Well, duh. That's why we have to use history. We have to use common sense. That's why we have to use context clues. We have to do our own independent investigation, which could simply mean, right? Yeah, maybe we can't show up in person and inspect if it was truly red liquid on his face or not, if that was real or not. Maybe we can't test that for DNA, but maybe what we can do is look at context clues from everything that took place that day, compared to other historical events that truly happened. Compare and contrast them. Start to look for patterns, right? Look at the behavior of Donald Trump, his Secret Service, and how some of them were promoted after the fact. You start to look at patterns afterwards. That's what that means. That's what that means.
Ask questions of the government, challenge the government to find out what really happened. You're not supposed to blindly accept things they say, especially when they don't make any sense.
Trump even told the BBC last year that he doesn't like dwelling on it. You dwell on everything. He dwells on crap from multiple decades ago.
Are you kidding me? I mean, the 2020, he thinks he lost an election. He can't let it go. Imagine if he was actually shot at. And that's why I remember when he was giving the speech at the RNC and he said, this is the only time I'll ever talk about it. I remember saying that's not true at all. He's never gonna be able to stop talking about this. But I was wrong. He doesn't talk about it anymore. Okay, so if you don't think that's strange, now you're being weird. That's definitely strange.
That means that you are weird, bro. It means that you all have been weird for the past year and a half. Don't sit on this moral high ground now, because the very thing that you were saying, the very things that you were thinking, which made no sense to think and say for the past year and a half, now all of a sudden you stepped off that side and you're looking back at the people that was just over there with you and you're saying something's wrong with you if you don't see it this way. What took you so long is the question.
So that's point one.
So over the weekend, one of Trump's strongest supporters, who apparently no longer is a strong supporter. Her name is Trisha Hope. She was actually a January 6th activist and a national delegate for Trump. She posted a lengthy post on X explaining her thought process on this whole situation because she finds it very strange. I'm gonna read exactly what she wrote verbatim.
This is good.
I was a longtime Trump supporter. I became a national delegate to make certain Trump was seated as the nominee. On the night Trump spoke at the RNC, he had the ear patch on. Remember, he had like a giant female hygiene product like attached to his ear. As Trump began to speak, he started with this. So many people have asked me what happened. Tell us what happened, please. And therefore, I will tell you exactly what happened, and you'll never hear it from me a second time because it's actually too painful to tell. So in regard to his statement there, she says, Trisha Hope says, my first thought was how odd for him to begin this way. In my opinion, Trump made that statement to stop any further conversation about what happened. He gave us his official story, would only do it once, and that was the end of it. Now we all know no one loves Trump more than Trump, so this to me felt completely out of character.
This sounds so clean. It's insane. Like, imagine how much you can do with this. It's
Yeah, no question.
Okay.
So there's more videos. Keep going.
Following the inauguration, I found it odd that Trump wasn't going aggressively after those who allowed this to happen. He seemed to behave like it was no big deal. His Secret Service detail failed him miserably, failed him massively, allowed him to be shot, and they allowed that perfectly timed photo op to take place. Since the attempt on his life, Trump has shown no interest in investigating what really happened. He never mentions it. It's as if it never happened, except when he tells us he took a bullet for us. So she gets a little, she starts like sharing her own theories. She thinks the man who actually got killed that day, Corey Compatore, was basically used as part of the plot. Someone had to die. Otherwise, it would have been much easier to claim it was a hoax. They killed Corey likely because he was truly a real life hero, one people would rally behind and defend passionately as they should. Then to top it off, they used Corey to their benefit at the convention. To this day, his wife is begging for answers she has repeatedly been denied. Sadly, there have no more use for her. They have no more use for her. So she no longer matters. So that's her theory. Obviously, we don't have any evidence to back any of that up, right? But
there's one thing in there that makes sense.
Okay, go ahead.
So I don't know what happened with the gentleman who was shot and killed, and now we're getting into deeper waters, et cetera. And again, we're not saying
you're already in deeper waters. What are you talking about? How did you get much deeper than this when you have a president that claims to have been pow-powed, right? He was actually hit with a bullet, according to him, on his ear, an ear that magically healed way too fast. Let me see if I can find this picture. I saw a picture one time. Let me see. Trump's ear. Emmanuel Holyfield ear? What's his name? Where is the comparison? Evander Holyfield. So let me show y'all this image. Hold on. Let me show y'all this image. And y'all tell me what y'all think. We'll come back to that video here. Let's do some comparison. I'm going to show you. This is Evander Holyfield's ear, however many years later. This is Trump's ear, like a week and a half after the fact. That alone, what are we talking about? Look at the top left corner of Evander Holyfield's ear. Now look at Trump's ear. Evander Holyfield had years for his ear to heal. Years. This is Trump's ear less than 2 weeks later. What are we talking about, bro? This is a joke. What are we talking about? That alone tells you what you need to know.
No. Okay. So to me, the legitimate question in there is, why was no one punished at the Secret Service for an enormous breach of security? That there was a guy on a roof with a perfect shot at Trump.
Same question with Charlie Kirk. I believe like one person, according to them, got fired or something like that. But I think somebody else got a promotion. They epically failed that dude that day, allegedly. That should tell you what you need to know about the Charlie Kirk situation.
In the crowd, and that's the one building they didn't look at, and that's the one building that had no video cameras.
Right.
Yeah.
And not only was the people in charge of security that day not fired, the lead guy there was promoted to the head of the Secret Service.
Insane.
No, that's evidence number 2.
Okay. So I'm actually gonna skip ahead. I wanna go to some of these videos. Let's start with F2 because there are others who have weighed in on this. Now, Tim Dillon, of course, is a comedian, but he does a lot of honest commentary in his comedy. With that in mind, let's take a look.
Maybe the assassination was like not something that we don't know the full story. So maybe it was staged, maybe it was faked. Maybe it was some kind of message to him, although I don't understand that because it almost, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get how close you would come. The top of the ear.
Right.
But I think maybe it was staged. And I think now is the time to just come out and say, some people are going to be upset by this. But we staged the assassination attempt in Butler to show people how important it is and how important it was to vote for me.
Okay, so that's what Tim Dillon had to say on his own show earlier this month. And then you have the statements that Joe Kent made when he was on Tucker Carlson's podcast. If you don't remember, let's go to F3.
I mean, we still don't know what happened in Butler. We don't know what happened with Charlie Kirk. And by no means am I saying like, the Israelis did this or any of that, but I'm saying there's a lot of unanswered questions there. And there is enough data to at least say that there's a good chance that President Trump feels like he is under threat. We're not allowed to ask, basically, was there any linkage between what took place with Asif Merchant, who was recruited by the Iranians to come to America to recruit proxies to kill President Trump? The FBI put a confidential human source at him. All this is public now. This is all out there in the open. And he's arrested. And then 2 days later, a sniper takes a shot at President Trump.
And I'm gonna go to one more video, Dank, just so we do our due diligence here. I wanna go to F6 because Tucker's special on this issue needs to be looked at because we were lied to about how Thomas Crooks had no online trail. He didn't post anywhere, he wasn't active on any social media. Nothing could be further from the truth. So if you watch it, he's gonna show you the receipts, but I wanna give you a little taste, F6.
In late September, we received a tip from a source. He told us he'd gain access to some of Thomas Crooks's accounts. He'd found these accounts by utilizing tools commonly used by private investigators. The key lead was Thomas Crooks's phone number. That was published in documents obtained by America First Legal. That phone number led our source to Thomas Crooks's primary email account, tmcrooks7@gmail.com. That in turn, he linked with more than a dozen other accounts. It turns out that Thomas Crooks was hardly an online ghost. He was active, and yet federal investigators lied and told us there was no trace of him online. Some of Crooks's accounts, like his Snapchat, appear to have been fully deactivated and completely taken out of use. Some of them may have been unused or cleared by federal officials during the investigation. We don't know, because the FBI wouldn't tell us. There is ample evidence to support the authenticity of these posts. Our source figured it out. So did we. But when we reached out directly to the FBI to ask why the Bureau hadn't shared any details from the account with the public, the FBI responded by questioning whether we could verify the authenticity of the account. We were confused by this, considering the authenticity is self-evident, and And of course, the FBI would have known that since the day of the shooting.
Super suspicious, Cenk.
So point number 3 is Joe Kent, who was the National Counterterrorism Director, asked for permission to investigate leads they had on foreign connections to the shooting. Now, in that clip that you saw with Tucker Carlson, and I explored that more with Joe Kent in my interview that I did right here on the Young Turks, you could watch that. And what he said was that there was a guy who was arrested for trying to assassinate Trump in some wild plot that was connected to Iran. Now, wait a minute. If you have evidence connecting it to any foreign government, let alone Iran, why wouldn't you let the National Counterterrorism Director and the entire organization investigate that?
Right. And why would Trump not do that? Especially now, why would Trump not use that to his advantage? Right? With the Iran war happening. You could use that as an excuse as to why you all are doing what you're doing to the Iranians, but they're not doing that. And once again, that should tell us what we need to know.
That is super strange. So that is evidence number 3. Evidence number 4 is what Tucker just mentioned, which is, why is the FBI lying about Thomas Crooks's background?
Yeah.
Well, if he did it and he did it alone, why wouldn't they, crucify him publicly, like, oh, here's what he did, and et cetera, and how awful. But yet they've said nothing about him. Not only that, they've lied about him. That is also enormously strange. Okay, now the last one. Number 5 is the photographers. Someone shepherding the photographers to just the right location. Now, normally when I see something like that, I go, really? Okay, I mean, are you sure? And there's an element of that here with the flag, which I'll tell you about. But we're gonna show you F7, the next video, because to me, this was also, I mean, this is number 5, guys, of incredibly strange things that happened. So let's watch. Okay, so this is the shoot. Now you see that guy on that just crossed your screen on the lower level. He crosses after the shooting. He's not panicking and running away. He was very calm earlier in the video. This a long video, and he went to go get something.
Y'all, did y'all hear what he just said? Does that sound familiar to anybody? He wasn't panicking. He didn't seem scared. He wasn't running away. Where have we heard that before? Someone was allegedly just pow-powed, a public figure, and the people closest around that figure does not seem scared, do not duck, do not run. Charlie Kirk. Absolutely, y'all got it right. Charlie Kirk. Why do we keep saying this over and over? That leaves us with one of 2 conclusions. Either it's all a hoax, all of it is fake, or they were betrayed by the people around them. This photographer is just like Mikey McCoy. Right? Let's hear that again. I mean, that literally sounds verbatim.
Okay, so this is the shoot. Now you see that guy on that just crossed your screen on the lower level. He crosses after the shooting. He's not panicking and running away.
Because it's a what is it? It's staged. It's like a play. Everybody has a role to play. He has to get into position, and he has to shepherd other people in position so they can get this perfect photo op of Donald Trump pumping his fist in the air with the red liquid, and it is quite literally in this case just that red liquid as it comes down his face, and the flag just out of nowhere floats down from this crane to the far right of your screen as you see here. This flag is going to float right down just into scenery perfectly so that New York Times and any other network that wants to show it can have the perfect photo of Donald Trump. Just like they do in movies.
He was very calm earlier in the video. This a long video, and he went to go get something. Now oh, look at that. He went to go get photographers. There he is again. You see, crouching down, and he's shepherding the photographers. And now you're about to see a second person that'll also come in to shepherd the photographers for just the right shot.
Where else did we hear that, everybody? That sounds familiar as well. When everything happened with Charlie, what happened? You had like 5 people recording, not students in the crowd, man. I'm talking about back there by the Wagoneers, by the SUVs. All of them were recording. What are you recording? Why aren't you scared? Why aren't you running? Why aren't you hiding? Why aren't you crying and screaming? It's literally verbatim the same exact behavior.
So as soon as what happened was like the shooting happened, he was just the calmest man. And there he is. Look. And here comes another woman now.
He's posing right for the cameras. Bro, this is a movie. Look at this. If anybody needed any proof, look at this. He comes down there and the if you look closely, you can see here that the quote unquote Secret Service members, if that's what you want to call them, because I believe they're actors too. They're shepherding Trump in the right position so that everybody's working together so they know they're in the right place.
As soon as what happened was like the shooting happened, he was just the calmest man. And there he is. Look. And here comes another woman now. Bring the photographers here. We need the exact picture. And it looks incredibly choreographed. Okay, but how do they know to choreograph it?
What do you mean, how do they know? This is what I'm saying about these people. Dank, there's no way that you're this confused, bro. There's no way that you've never heard of these things before. There's no way you've never had these things explained. No. First and foremost, the fact that by the way, Dank has met Charlie. He's affiliated with a lot of these people. I think all of these people are actors. You're not confused about this, bro. You know, like we know what we just watched. You know.
In the middle of a shooting,
I'd be out of there.
Is your first reaction, oh, let me go get the photographers and let me bring them to just the right location?
Even though I can get my head blown off. Of course not, bro.
Where they're going to be able to take a shot of the flag as well, and Trump holding up his fist. And I'm not at all worried about my life. And remember, guys, come here. No, not there. Right here. Just
right.
Just like we planned it. What is that?
You just said it. Just like we planned it. Bro, it's so funny because this was obvious from the jump. The moment I saw that perfect photo op, I was like, did they Photoshop the flag into the picture? That was perfect. Yeah, it's a reason why it's perfect. Let me see. I've been trying to find the video where the police or the civilians were telling the police that Thomas Crooks was on the roof, and I can't find it. So I went while that was playing to my other video that I posted a year ago, and my immediate reaction, you all can go and watch it. I mean, it's literally consistent with what I'm saying right now. And let's just see. I don't know if this is going to be the clip itself, but I was just skimming through it, and it looked like this may be it. There's a video of a man saying that, like, you know, he watched the guy climb up this, I guess, up the side of this building or something, and they were pointed out. He was about 50 feet away, and the Secret Service they did nothing.
But we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, you know. But we noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, you know, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle Absolutely.
Where does that sound familiar? Just like the Charlie Kirk situation, remember? There were video footage of all these people, or not all these people. It was like 2 or 3 different people that all happened to have military backgrounds who happened to see this guy on the roof at UVU campus. It's the same exact story, dude. Like verbatim. The same thing happened in Utah as happened in Butler. This is not a coincidence. It's the reason why I have a series on this channel called More Than a Coincidence. Of course, it's not a coincidence, bro. And it's not a coincidence that no one did anything about it. Because the purpose of that, this guy here that you're looking at with this hat, allegedly, I believe is an actor as well. That's right. I believe this person is a crisis actor that you're looking at right here on the screen. His job was to act panicky and act all frantic and say that he saw somebody on the roof, which he did, but that was a pawn. That person was a deploy. It wasn't anybody that actually pow-powed Donald Trump, allegedly. This person is an actor, in my opinion. Their job is to come on camera and to lead the public into believing, oh my God, see, people saw the shooter. No. Because it doesn't make sense that a shooter can be up there. You all are actively telling the police and the Secret Service and whoever was out there for protection of the most protected person on the planet. Nobody's more protected than the president of the United States. But this young kid was able to get past him. Get out of here. Get out of here. Who's buying this?
We're pointing at them. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police are like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof.
Isn't it so interesting as well? Look at the time here at the very top left of the screen. It says 1911 or 9/11. Very interesting.
Just standing there like this, and next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
Why did they do nothing? If this is real and that actually happened, why would they do nothing? He said you can clearly see the rifle. So you mean to tell me that a man was climbing up the side of a building in the open where regular civilians can see them, the police don't see them or don't react in time, don't get Trump up out of there, don't stop everything, and all the protocols is focused on this person. To get up there, set up shop, get a fair shot, a clean shot at Trump, and just barely miss him enough for us to be able to, he can come back up and we see the blood and it's, I don't know, bro. I have questions. I just wanted to let that part play out just to prove that the very same day that happened, I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it. And so let's move to our next data point here. And it would be the one and only Jimmy Dore. Shout out to Jimmy Dore. But look at this here. Earlier today, 5 hours ago, Butler pow-powing attempt was faked and Trump was in on it. Professor Zhang, right? Let's see what they have to say here. Now, this right here is definitely going to get interesting. And for the record, I haven't listened to this one yet at all.
Is that benefit?
And maybe Butler, Pennsylvania was a ritual in order to seal the deal, right? Because if you actually look at the specifics of the assassination where Trump's ear was bleeding and he didn't have a shoe, that actually fits into a biblical description of like of a prophet or a Messiah. And it's in the Bible. I believe it's in Leviticus.
Okay, that's interesting.
The more I look at things, the more I'm convinced that Donald Trump's assassination attempts were faked, and they were inside jobs, especially Butler, Pennsylvania. And the key piece of evidence is that Donald Trump is not interested in who actually tried to do that, the conspiracy behind it. It's just a lone nut who was able to somehow get through all. There, why aren't they watching the roofs? Nobody's watching the roof at Butler, Pennsylvania, even though the crowd saw him. Same thing with Charlie Kirk. There's a roof. There's a guy on the roof for at least a couple of minutes with a rifle, and nobody in the security saw him. It's impossible, right?
Right.
So this, do you? I know. So I am convinced that Donald Trump was in on that. That Butler, Pennsylvania thing. And what do you think about it?
Well, it certainly helps us understand why there's a disparity between the first term and the second term, right? So in the first term, all of Washington was unified against Trump. They tried to sabotage him from day one, right, with this Russia gate hoax. The mainstream media was clearly against Trump. So when Trump ordered the American troops out of Syria, he was just ignored by the military.
Yes.
You had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, call the Chinese and say, "Hey, don't listen to what this guy says. We're in charge." That's treason.
Yeah.
Right. And so in the first term, there were a lot of leaks. There were a lot of turnover. In the second term, you see a lot more discipline. You see Trump actually carrying out a plan. And so it's entirely possible that what happened was that at the end of his first term, the deep state, there were many political factions that tried to destroy Trump once and for all, right? So January 6th was clearly a stage operation by the FBI, in my opinion.
Clearly.
And then after he left office, there was a raid, the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago. There was lawfare. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to put him in prison. They tried to remove him from the ballot box. And he was really in a lot of trouble. So at that point, he had no choice but to make a deal with the deep state, saying that, look, Biden is useless. Putin's going to control the world. If we continue to have Biden in the office, but Biden's not going to leave office voluntarily. So let's make a deal. We'll allow you to go back into office. But you have to promote our agenda, which is the American Empire agenda.
Now, I already see some of you all in the comment section saying, don't trust this guy. He's a side op. Listen, I hear you. I'm with you. I don't 100% trust anybody. And I got my eyes on him. I believe just like anybody else, you named the person. Yes, I do mean them as well. If the algorithm is supporting you for an extended period of time and it continues to let you blow up when you're talking about the type of the sorts of deals that we are talking about, they're not going to let you, bro. They're just not going to let you. I know a lot of people want to believe that that's so real. They're not going to let you. All right. I don't care who you like, who's covering whatever topic. If you are allowed to be a top podcaster, YouTuber for an extended period of time talking about the things that we talk about, yes, 100% they got to you. 100% they are being backed by somebody, in my opinion. I believe that. Again, I don't care if you like the person or not. It's not about that. Which leads me to my point here. I actually disagree with them here. I don't believe that a deal was struck here. Because you said Trump was in on it, then that would mean that Trump was in on it before the attempt, right? Unless he hasn't gotten to that point yet. Let's actually think this through. We've talked about the Illuminati card game. If you have not checked out that video, please check it out. We have extended and uncensored videos on Patreon. The link is in the description to Patreon. You do not want to miss that content. A lot of those videos I do drop for my free members. But obviously, the more deeper ones, you have to pay the $5 fee, but it's worth it. I promise you. Nonetheless, I do not believe that. Simply, the Illuminati card game alone tells us what we need to know. I'm going to show y'all something. Because I can't always assume that you all are going to see all my videos. Simpson, Trump, 2027. I'm going to show y'all something. I've shown this before, but I need to show it again. I need to show it again. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027. 2027 Where we at? Image. All right, of course. It didn't work. Of course. That's okay though. I came prepared. Give me 15 seconds. You should be looking at it. I've talked about The Simpsons and the Illuminati card game. The guy that was over the Illuminati card game, in my opinion, is a Freemason. And I believe the person that is, I think it's very obvious that the person that created The Simpsons, the show The Simpsons, is also a Freemason as well. Well, let me show you what he predicted in 2015, which I say predicted, I'm using that term loosely. He actually didn't predict anything. Look at this here. It said Trump 2024. Think about what that means. If they predicted this in 2015, that would mean, because Trump was already running for president by 2016, right? Then that means that Trump would serve as president from 2016 to 2020. That's 4 years. But if he was to serve consecutive terms, that means Trump will be out of the White House by 2024. Therefore, this Trump 2024 sign wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be needed. You don't put together a sign for the last year you're in office. That makes no sense. You do it for the year that you're running. This would only make sense if they already knew that Trump would serve 2 consecutive terms with that second, but it wouldn't be 2 consecutive. He would serve 2 terms, but it would not be consecutive. How else would this make sense? All right, let me play this real fast. Hold on. Let me share this really fast. For those of you that weren't paying attention, let me just remind y'all again. Let's run this back.
Come to America to recruit proxies to kill President Trump. The FBI put a confidential human source at him. All this is public now. This is all out there in the open. And he's arrested. And then 2 days later, a sniper takes a shot at President Trump.
And I'm going to go to one more video, Cenk, just so we do our due diligence here. I want to go to F6 because Tucker's special on this issue needs to be looked at, because we were lied to about how Thomas Crooks had no online trail. He didn't post anywhere. He wasn't active on any social media. Nothing could be further from the truth. So if you watch it, he's going to show you the receipts, but I want to give you a little taste. F6.
In late September, we received a tip from a source. He told us he'd gain access to some of Thomas Crooks's accounts. He'd found these accounts by utilizing tools commonly used by private investigators. The key lead was Thomas Crooks's phone number. That was published in documents obtained by America First Legal. That phone number led our source to Thomas Crooks's primary email account, tmcrooks7@gmail.com. That in turn, he linked with more than a dozen other accounts. It turns out that Thomas Crooks was hardly an online ghost. He was active, and yet federal investigators lied and told us there was no trace of him online. Some of Crooks's accounts, like his Snapchat, appear to have been fully deactivated and completely taken out of use. Some of them may have been unused or cleared by federal officials during the investigation. We don't know, because the FBI wouldn't tell us. There is ample evidence to support the authenticity of these posts. Our source figured it out. So did we. But when we reached out directly to the FBI to ask why the Bureau hadn't shared any details from the account with the public, the FBI responded by questioning whether we could verify the authenticity of the account. We were confused by this, considering the authenticity is self-evident. And of course, the FBI would have known that since the day of the shooting.
Super suspicious, Cenk.
So point number 3 is Joe Kent, who was the National Counterterrorism Director, asked for permission to investigate leads they had on foreign connections to the shooting. Now, in that clip that you saw with Tucker Carlson, and I explored that more with Joe Kent in my interview that I did right here on the Young Turks, you could watch that. And what he said was that there was a guy who was arrested for trying to assassinate Trump in some wild plot that was connected to Iran. Now, wait a minute. If you have evidence connecting it to any foreign government, let alone Iran, why wouldn't you let the National Counterterrorism Director and the entire organization investigate that? That is super strange. So that is evidence number 3. Evidence number 4 is what Tucker just mentioned, which is, why is the FBI lying about Thomas Crooks's background?
Yeah.
Well, if he did it and he did it alone, why wouldn't they, crucify him publicly, like, oh, here's what he did, and et cetera, and how awful. But yet they've said nothing about him. Not only that, they've lied about him. That is also enormously strange. Okay, now the last one. Number 5 is the photographers. Someone shepherding the photographers to just the right location. Now, normally when I see something like that, I go, really? Okay, I mean, are you sure? And there's an element of that here with the flag, which I'll tell you about. But we're gonna show you F7, the next video, because to me, this was also, I mean, this is number 5, guys, of incredibly strange things that happened. So let's watch. Okay, so this is the shoot. Now you see that guy on that just crossed your screen on the lower level. He crosses after the shooting. He's not panicking and running away. He was very calm earlier in the video. This a long video, and he went to go get something. Now oh, look at that. He went to go get photographers. There he is again. You see, crouching down, and he's shepherding the photographers. And now you're about to see a second person that'll also come in to shepherd the photographers for just the right shot.
Yeah, and then the flag comes right down.
Watch very calm right earlier in the video. This a long video, and he went to go get something. Now
look at the top of the screen.
He went to go get photographers. There he is.
Just watch the top of the screen. The flag is gonna float down perfectly.
Is again, you see, crouching down.
Wait for it. Here it comes.
And he's shepherding the photographers. And now you're about to see a second person that'll.
And there's the flag. Sorry about that, y'all. I know we've watched that video. I had to go grab something. Where am I at? Can you all see me? That was weird. I couldn't see myself. That was strange. Sorry about that. I know we've watched that clip already. I had to go grab something from my door. I didn't want to leave you all in just silence. But let's get back to this Professor Zhang, and let's listen to what he has to say.
It's useless. Putin's gonna control the world if we continue to have Biden in the office, but Biden's not gonna leave office voluntarily. So let's make a deal. We'll allow you to go back into office, but you have to promote our agenda, which is the American Empire agenda.
I think that was always the plan. The Illuminati card game, the Simpsons, the fact that they were able to say when this man was going to be in the White House, the role that he was going to play, the things that he was going to push 40 years ago, that being the Illuminati card game. No. I think this was predictive programming. I think it was a part of the plan. And it can't be a part of the plan unless the person that's involved is already a part of the club.
And maybe Butler, Pennsylvania was a ritual in order to seal the deal, right? Because if you actually look at the specifics of the assassination, where Trump's ear was bleeding and he didn't have a shoe, that actually fits into a biblical description of a prophet or a Messiah, and it's in the Bible. I believe it's in Leviticus.
I'm about to look
right.
that up.
So not only was it staged, but it was.
Hold on, before he moves a little forward, let's look that up real fast. Is there anything in Leviticus that mentions a person without a shoe or bleeding ear? Let's see. It says yes, both of these ideas show up in the book of Leviticus. Leviticus 8 and 14, doing priestly ordination and cleansing rituals, blood is placed on a person's ear, thumb, and toe. All right. And the idea of removing a shoe shows up elsewhere in the Bible, but it's not in Leviticus. The book of Exodus, Moses removing sandals at the burning bush. and in the book of Ruth, used in a legal custom situation. Okay. So it's in Leviticus and Exodus.
Of like of a prophet or a Messiah, and it's in the Bible. I believe it's in Leviticus, right? So not only was it staged, but it was staged as a religious ritual in order to anoint Trump to be the avatar or basically the scapegoat for the deep state.
I see. That's
low testosterone.
That's interesting. I'd have to look more into that, and I'll follow up and give you all my opinion. I don't want to speak recklessly on that part. I'm not as in depth with that part.
Same thing with Charlie Kirk's public assassination. They had to do it publicly, right? That was also some kind of ritual killing, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yes, yeah. There are a lot of ritual aspects to that assassination.
And where do these rituals come from? Can you speak to it?
So I don't know the specifics, but I imagine these are Freemasonic rituals that involve the Kabbalah, and they are all part of the Freemasonic mythology, right? So if you look at the JFK assassination, you look at the Charlie Kirk assassination, these are all come from a certain mythology in the Freemason world.
Yeah. Did you hear about so Candace Owens has been saying that the Charlie Kirk's assassination was a military operation, which it's clear that they were certainly involved, and the freak out over her discovering the Fort Huachuca connection was again proof of this. And then did you hear that so there was maroon, lots of single individuals wearing maroon at the event with Charlie Kirk's assassination. And then that's the color of the French military. And then she's saying that there was a Masonic lodge made up of ex-French military that the French government just recently charged them as being an assassination ring. Did you hear about that? And this fits into that perfectly, right?
Yeah, so this would not surprise me. Also, we have to remember, like, this happened in Utah, which is where the Mormons are.
Yes.
The Mormons are a very important part of the deep state. So
yeah, they are, and they were founded by Freemasons. Not only that, but a huge part of the Mormons, which I do believe everything he just said about them being used by the deep state. A lot of their traditions and for Latter-day Saints is that comes from the Freemason, the Freemasonic Lodge.
This is probably an operation that involved a lot of different deep state factions.
Yes, so coming together. It wasn't just one. It wasn't just the Mossad. Yes. It wasn't just the CIA. It wasn't just the French military. It was the Mormons. That all those people can get. And Donald Trump and Dan Bongino and Kash Patel are completely aware of this happening, and they know that if they try to go against it, they're going to end up like Charlie Kirk themselves, right?
Yes, and we know what happened after Charlie Kirk.
Is it though? Because yeah, true. Maybe the same can happen to them, but I think we're also underestimating their role in the sense of how are we not so sure that they're Freemasons, right? That they're not Freemasons, which is very easy for us to come to that conclusion based on the fact that they got the positions to begin with, right? The director of the freaking national FBI, Kash Patel, has to be one of the most inarticulate, emotional, drunk, unprofessional, childlike, frat boy like FBI director I've ever seen in my life.
Kirk was assassinated, right? There's no longer any major opposition towards this war in Iran.
Right. He was the only one. I mean, he was certainly the most powerful one because he had a following and he had all the conservatives under 30. So they had to get rid of him. And that's definitely what happened.
He would not compromise on this issue. I mean, he went on it for a long time, right? Starting with with last year's 12-day war. I mean, he went to the White House and talked to Trump directly and said, you got to stop this.
And do you think that's when I think that's when the decision was made to get rid of him, and they tried one more time to bribe him in his meeting at the Hamptons, and he turned it down. And that was like the plan was already in progress to kill him, but they were like, well, let's try one more time, and it didn't work. He turned down their money, and of course, his and in retrospect, his wife Erika Kirk, it's obvious she was put in his life. She's their whole life she's a 17-year-old beauty queen somehow working with trafficking in Romania. It just does none of it. And so, what I say is if the CIA had a vagina, she came out of it. And and everybody around him, from Tyler Bowden to Andrew Kovach, Mikey McCoy, his father, all those pastors, it's one big swamp, right? That's the swamp.
Well, that's what the Epstein files teaches us, right? I mean, these are extremely depraved people.
And what do you, by the way, what do you make of the journalists who had really great reputations up until the Epstein files, and now there seem to be, and it's like whether it's Epstein himself or whether it's is Epstein dead, or whether it's the files, you see people like Michael Schellenberger, Matt Taibbi. What do you make of that? Like them trying to dismiss what everyone sees.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a huge fan of Matt Taibbi's for the longest
Me
time,
too.
right? Starting with the 2008 Great Financial Crisis.
Yes.
He did amazing reporting in Rolling Stone, and I've been following his work for the past decade. I'm a huge admirer of his work. And I don't have any clue as to why he did what he did. There are theories that the IRS visited him, and that might have something to do with it. But usually in these cases, what happens is that you associate a certain group of people, they become your friends, you spend weekends together, you go on cruises together, your kids know each other, and you just want to stay in that circle. Right? And staying in that circle just means you have to conform to the talking points.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, man. My personal opinion is I think it's pretty obvious what's what. I just find it very suspicious. I'm going to throw Jimmy Dore into that conversation too, that all of a sudden everybody's questioning this very thing. Now, maybe, Jimmy questioned it before, but how is it that all of a sudden now you questioning it? What's so special about April of 2026 that you want to question it now? What changed? Right? Nobody thought this before. Nobody had reason to believe. Of course you did. It almost seemed orchestrated. It's like, okay, now let's start pushing this. Now that Trump has started to do all the things that's upset his base and has all the people talking and making content about him, and he's putting out all these tweets attacking some of the biggest, right-leaning podcasters in the world. Now we need a lot of you all. Here's your marching orders. Start talking about that Butler situation. Start questioning that. That's how it comes off to me. Because there's no way a lot of you all didn't know this already. There's no way. There's no way. I refuse to believe that. And I'm going to just be that person that's going to always call these people out. I don't care. You all can keep shadow banning my content and shooting my views down and prevent people from knowing when I'm going live, and oh well, that's fine. I'll make a way for myself. It's totally fine, but I'm not going to stop telling the truth and or saying what I really believe. And a lot of these people, what's the term that Brian the auditor uses, are limited hangouts. right? A lot of these people that people think are for the truth, I'm telling y'all, if the algorithm is supporting them, some people may slip through the cracks, maybe, but I find it hard to believe. Y'all don't know how close I came to not want to pay my tax. I paid my taxes this year. The most taxes I've ever paid, by the way. But after what I've seen and talked about and covered, and you all have helped me understand, and we've been working together, especially on Patreon over the past year, man, I considered not paying my taxes. I considered it. I did it, but I considered it. I'm not joking. If you want to support the work, if you want another way to support the work, I do have, this is my Truth is a Person shirt. I have it covered up today with this jacket, but we do have a couple of new lines coming out here in the next week or so. And we have a sale. She emailed and told me, my business partner, but I believe the sale is going to start sometime this upcoming weekend or next week. I'll follow up and let you all know, or you could just go to the website in the comment section and you'll see the sale. But we're definitely going to be running the sale here in the next week. So that's another way to support me. A link to the Patreon is in the description as well. Yeah. So I appreciate you all as always, but I'm gonna get to some of your comments though. Shout out to Holly for the $2 super chat. I love and highly respect your investigational videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Just curious, what do you typically like? Do you like the political ones, like my Donald Trump videos? Do you prefer the ones about the music industry, or the one about, like the one I posted yesterday about Joe Rogan? That was one I've been waiting to get to. It's some other things. By the way, I plan to drop an extended version of that Joe Rogan video where we're going to talk about him and his conversations and beliefs around Aleister Crowley. His relationship with Peter Thiel. I want to cover all of that on the extended version for my Patreon members, exclusively just for you all. Gina, thank you so much for the $50 super chat. As always, good to see you. I haven't believed it since day one and wondered how anyone else could miss last two lives, die notified again. It's crazy. I check your channel every hour, every day lately. Much love and many prayers for you and yours. For all of us, stay safe and stay healthy. First of all, thank you, Gina, for the $50 super chat. I appreciate it. Secondly, thank you for the support. And yeah, man, as always, Gina has told me this before, but people are not notified when I go live. And I'm glad you didn't fall for the okie doke. Not that our president can really get, it's just y'all got to understand, man, in real life, how difficult that would be. And you got to also understand, or maybe you already do understand. So I should remind you that a lot of these people, a lot of these content creators, like your Officer Tatums of the world, your Benny Johnsons of the world, and they got people on the left that are like this too, but these are just the ones that are on the right. They have marching orders to start pushing out narratives to get ahead of the narrative. Before people can form their own opinions, they hop ahead of the narrative so people don't question certain things. They try to make it seem like it's a bigger deal, and they found new angles and new evidence and new updates, when the truth all along was none of it was real. None of it was real, right? For the record, let me state that there's no place in this country for political violence. There's no place in this country for violence in general. I don't condone any of it. But there's people that try to encourage you not to think for yourself, even the people that you like. Always be true. Thank you for the $10 super chat. I'll go with Charlie Kirk was betrayed and they all knew about it. See what his wife is doing now, stirring the organization fully back to the Z agenda. Neocons, warmongers. Like I said before, anybody that's holding that position, I'm not mad at you, specifically with the Charlie Kirk situation. You have more reason to believe that what happened to Charlie, truly he was betrayed, as opposed to him being a part of it. You have more reason to believe that with this situation than you do with the Trump situation. Again, because of other things and moving parts and what I've seen before is the only reason why I'm still not 100% one way or the other, right? So I'm not even mad at you if you believe that he was betrayed. Because you're right. The actions around him are consistent with that typically happens when a person is no longer here, like JFK. Shout out to William. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I hope people don't overlook the reverse triple psyop. I don't trust Joe Kent, Joe Rogan, or Tucker, or anyone. Didi, can you interview Dan Bazarian? I've thought about reaching out to him. I know he's running for Congress against, what's his name? What's the guy's name? Is it Ryan? Is it the Zionist dude, the overweight Zionist guy? I thought about it. I may actually reach out to him and talk to him for sure. Shout out to Gina. Thank you for the $10 super chat. When I'd have missed those last 2 lives, I thought you ran off to get married, Ella. Far-fetched or not. Q&A. Thanks for all you do, Didi. I truly appreciate you more than you can imagine. Thank you so much. I haven't ran off and got married. That don't happen until later this year. No, I'll go live again. I've been working on other projects. Like I was working on that Joe Rogan video. I got it out. I worked on that David video, that artist that unalived that girl and was finally arrested. And I got a couple other videos and concepts that I'm working on, like the missing scientists, like the scientists that have been going missing, that have been working on the nuclear scientists. I'm very familiar with that situation, including another guy who's been talking about UFOs and things of that sort, who was just found unalived, even though he, just like all these other people, were saying that he's not in a mindset state, or a mindset where he wants to unalive himself, yet he was still found unalived. So I'm working on that. I think that's going to be a Patreon exclusive, but I plan to talk about that one as well. Gus, tell me I can trust Theo Von. Thoughts? Thank you for the $2 super chat, Doug. Theo Von has been a part of the industry for quite some time. I'm always skeptical of anybody that's been a part of the industry for an extended period of time. But like I always say, if they're saying things that you agree with, there's nothing wrong with agreeing with them and supporting what they're saying. Going as far to say that I support Theo Von, I don't know enough about him. I think he has massive reach. I think that's suspicious. When you're able to interview vice presidents and presidents, and you're able to sit and talk with Joe Rogan, I think that's weird that you have that type of reach. With that being said, maybe he's playing the role of the people that are similar to us and they're questioning things, and maybe he hasn't had that talk. Nobody's reached out to him to have that talk with him yet. But for right now, I totally agree with his take, and it seems genuine. His take on what's happening in the Middle East, his reaction to the Trump administration, the fact that he flipped on them, and he's like, "Nah, man, I don't support what you all are doing. You're not doing what you promised. Children are getting hurt in this country, and I don't see you all making that a priority. This country is in another war." And he's calling it out. So that I cannot do anything but respect it, But what I will say is that to always be skeptical. Always be skeptical. Always just pay attention. Don't ever blindly follow, as I'm sure you know that already, but don't ever blindly follow. Like, since I like them on this topic and this topic and this topic, when they say something over here that's so far left field that is actually not only something I disagree with, but it's vehemently against my morals, you should be in a mindset where you can understand that, call them out for it, and encourage other people not to follow that person, Thank you, William. Didi, you get it. Not some is staged, it's everything, right? Not some is staged, it's everything. They're constantly running tricks on us, bro. Warping the way that we think, the way we process things, the way we view things in this country. Natalie, thank you for the $20 super chat. Watching and supporting from Kentucky. Shout out to Kentucky, man. I haven't been out there before. I know y'all are really big college fans though, with basketball and all of that. But for sure, shout out to Kentucky and thank you for the support. Joseph, you have to take off a shoe to put blood on a foot. Are you talking about the Leviticus or the Exodus ritual? I'm actually going to look into this, man. Because remember when Trump allegedly got hit, Trump went down. When Trump came up, he had blood on his face. He had a shoe missing. Let me write that down. All right, missing shoe. Face, ear. Okay, bet. Thank you for that reminder, Joseph, for sure. Mitch Snow. Shout out to Mitch, man. If this is not somebody trolling as Mitch is the person that interviewed with Candace Owens with the Fort Huachuca story. Trump's pounding was not fake. He's fighting the war against Iran because he doesn't want to get that again. As you're noticing, I'm not quick to respond until I know what I want to say. Because I don't want to just disagree with you. But if you want to come on anytime, Mitch, we can talk about this. Because while that could make good sense, but for the reasons we stated throughout this episode, I have good reason to believe that I'm not convinced any of it was real. Maybe another of the attempts was real that we weren't able to see on camera. And they told Trump, look, we actually sent somebody this time. But in this particular case, you're going to have to explain why the cops did nothing. Everybody was in accord. It's the same questions with Charlie Kirk. Everybody was in accord. Everybody was in sync. Everybody. Come on, man. Come on. The weird behavior from Mikey McCoy, the young people back there behind the, Hunter Codes, everybody was in sync. The Secret Service detail, everybody. Everybody just knew, including the young people, older people, the newer people, the people that's been around forever. Everybody knew. Same thing with the Trump situation. Too many coincidences, man. How did his ear... Here's the biggest question, Mitch. How did Trump's ear heal so fast? How did Donald Trump's ear heal so fast, man? Evander Holyfield's ear, decades later. Decades. Donald Trump's ear less than 2 weeks later. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Always be true. That's why the UVU event was fast-tracked and had to be in Utah. Request sent July 18th. Yep. Event September the 10th. Sus and no security for next event. Exactly. We already know. We already tapped in with what's going on with the Charlie Kirk situation for sure. We know dang well the story that they're telling us is not true. Measure Man, thank you for the $10 super chat. I'll be honest, I've been on channels and I have been windmilling that you were the first to call this out, and it made me wonder why they drowning out your channel. The same with the card game. Yeah, man. Look, how do I say this? Do I want this to be happening to my channel? No, but I know it's what comes with it, right? If my number one goal was to make money, which I want to make money and take care of myself, of course, but if my number one goal and my number two goal was to make money and just build a platform and gain notoriety, I'd pivot and talk about something much safer. As I've shared before on this channel, I can't bring myself to do that. I can't. I want to talk about the real. I want to talk about the real because this is real life. This is real life. You know? So. But yeah, man, there's no doubt about it. All you all have to do, an easy way to tell is if you go to my channel, go to a video with a relatively low amount of views. And I don't know what you all would consider as low views because I'm on this side of things. So you all may think 30,000 views is a low amount of views. Yeah, it's a low amount of views compared to 150,000, but I'm very content with 30,000. Like I'm so used to dealing with this stuff on YouTube that I'm used to it. That if you allow me to get to 30, I can work with that. I can make a living off of that. However, this is what you can do. Go to my channel and click on a video with like 30,000 views, 15,000 views. Watch the video, and you don't even have to tell me this directly or in the comment section. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Answer this for yourself. Did the video I just watched, does the video that I just watched, is it actually worthy? Is the video I just watched worthy of only 20,000 views? Was the substance, video quality, audio quality, introduction, and structure of the video worthy of only 20,000 views? Or did they feel like a video with 250,000 views? Did that feel like a video with 80,000 views? If you come to the conclusion that it sounded like or the experience was that of a video much higher, there's your answer. Because newsflash, you're going to find a lot of those videos on my channel. I'm not the only channel, by the way, that's dealing with this. There's some other much smaller channels that should be way bigger. Should be way bigger than my channel. Shout out to William for the $2 super chat. You're on point. We share a brain, my brother, for sure. Shout out to William again for the $2 super chat. Those who criticize Trump then make excuses. Right. Exactly. Shout out to Miss Jilly for the $20 super chat. Great work, Didi. Are you familiar with old Demigod? Nope. He dissects and even predicts false flags. He has noted lost shoes at all the events. No, I don't think I ever heard this person before. Old Demigod. Heck nah. But thank you. I'll definitely look into that for sure, Jilly. All right, y'all, man. As always, I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Nope, I don't know him. D is not old. Nope, I don't. I don't. Never heard of him before. But I'll definitely go and check him out or her out. Shoot 47. Okay, sound like something I should know. I should look into for sure. Okay, bet. Y'all gave me something to look into. Okay. Hit the like button, man. If you haven't yet, check out that Joe Rogan video. My last video on Joe Rogan. You might want to go and check that one out. Pretty entertaining. Give me your thoughts. Hop in the comment section as always, man. And I'm gonna catch you all in the next one. I'm probably gonna try to go live by next week. We'll see what happens. But in between time, in the meantime, I'm gonna work on some other stuff, man. So I'm gonna catch you all in the next one. I'm Demetrius. I go by Didi. Peace.
Oh yeah, Didi got a pie.
Attitudes and our work ethic become very important in realizing our goals and opening up possibilities. I had lunch a couple of weeks ago with a recent graduate at UCA, and his story is really fascinating. It's one of overcoming homelessness during his time pursuing his degree, first at a community college here in Arkansas, and then finishing his bachelor's degree here at UCA. His narrative ranges from estrangement from family for many years to a hopeful reunion with mother and siblings. His record is one of overcoming odds in a way that I probably could not, and certainly demonstrating levels of tenacity and patience and optimism that I can only marvel at. He wanted to talk with me about his new job and his career path going forward. I really need to be there to learn from him because that's where the real value was.
Everything I say in this video is alleged. Allegedly. No such thing as a life that is better than yours. Y'all can just repeat after me. I really appreciate it. Alright? No such thing. Come on, we can do better than that. Talk to me. Talk to me. Now let's start it over. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. You're worse than the rich white people who are, or the rich white Jews that own these record labels, because they don't even understand these populations. You have a lot closer relationship to these people, and you're leading them to hellfire. You are leading them in the wrong direction in the name of getting rich and famous. How dare you?
Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast.